Welcome to my home. Welcome to my devotional time today. I would just love to share my heart with you and help you go deeper into the book of Psalms. When I first started reading Psalms, I found them, confusing, and I didn't relate very well. But then I found a great resource to help me, and today I want to give you some hints on how to do it. The most important key is to remember the book of Psalms are prayers and poetry. Here's a hint from Leland Ryken. His resource is given below in the description of this video. Poetry embodies its meanings in images and figures of speech that require us to unpack them. After we have done that, we can proceed to meditate on what we have uncovered. Join me now as I begin to read Psalm 57. And remember, poetry is a slow read. Be gracious to me, God, be gracious to me, for my soul takes refuge in you. And in the shadow of your wings, I will take refuge until destruction passes by. I will cry to God Most High, to God who accomplishes all things for me. He will send from heaven and save me. He rebukes the one who tramples upon me. God will send his favor and his truth. My soul is among lions. I must lie among those who devour, among sons of mankind whose teeth are spears and arrows, and their tongue is a sharp sword. Be exalted above the heavens, God. May your glory be above all the earth. They have prepared a net for my steps. My soul is bowed down. They dug a pit before me. They themselves have fallen into the midst of it. My heart is steadfast, God. My heart is steadfast. I will sing, yes, I will sing praises. Awake, my glory, awake, harp and lyre. I will awaken the dawn. I will praise you, Lord, among the peoples. I will sing praises to you among the nations. For your goodness is great to the heavens, and your truth to the clouds. Be exalted above the heavens, God. May your glory be above all the earth. My first step is to ask, what is the psalmist experiencing? Like in all poetry, I look at the strong word images, the figures of speech, and I also ask, what did those figures of speech mean to the psalmist in his day? Verse 1 repeats the image of a refuge. A refuge is a safe place. And to David, who wrote this psalm, it says that he was in a cave, which means he was running away from King Saul, who wanted to kill him. The cave was a safe, protective place, but it was also dark, lonely, maybe cold. The word soul is used. So David is thinking, I might be protected physically, but my soul needs a refuge. I need something more than this cave. I need God. So I drew a little house in the margin by this first verse. I made it look like it was a refuge, and I put the word soul inside the house. David repeats this main idea about refuge with his reference to sheltering under the wings until destruction passes by. In the shadow of your wings makes me think of a mother bird who gathers her chicks, protects them as danger passes by. David probably saw this in nature, and it would touch his heart to think of the sacrificial love of this bird and the love of God that would hover over him, protecting him. Both of these word pictures suggest that David is struggling with fear and anxiety. I can relate to that. There are times when I'm in the midst of a trial, and I want a safe place. I want someone to put their arms around me and reassure me. If you've struggled with loneliness, if you've been in a dark place, a place of misunderstanding or conflict or fear, then you also can relate to this psalm. The question is, if we're in the cave, what do? David says, I will cry to God Most High, to God who accomplishes all things for me. In this response, we learn something about God. And that's an important step in studying the Psalms, to ask ourselves, what am I learning about God? David gives the name El Elyon, the Most High God. The double L means that he is the most high above all authority, every government, every home. And David is appealing to the Most High God who is over King Saul. We can do the same. Verses 4 and 6 describe more of David's trials, his soul that is troubled. My soul is among lions. I must lie among those who breathe fire. Even the sons of men whose teeth are spears and arrows, and their tongue a sharp sword. I have watched lions hunt in Kenya. They are very patient, and they creep up very slowly against their victim. It's terrifying. David clarifies that these attacks are words, maybe slander, maybe gossip, but he says they are like weapons that pierce his soul. Haven't we all experienced this? Words that hurt us so deeply. I can take a correction or a rebuke, but when someone attacks my character, it pierces me. I feel like I need to go to the burn unit at the hospital. David also writes, they have prepared a net for my steps. My soul is bowed down. They dug a pit for me. They themselves had fallen into the midst of it. Next to verse 6, I wrote the word trap in the margin. Words that trap me, bow me down, make me depressed. I am tempted to respond with hurtful words. I want the person to fall into their own trap. But that is not God's way, and David gives us a different response. In the middle of the lion and the net and the pit, David says, be exalted above the heavens, God. May your glory be above all the earth. This verse is repeated in the last verse of the psalm. So this word picture of glory must be very important. David's response includes celebration, music, praise. As you look at these verses, you see words like heaven, the dawn, clouds. The heavens are so great that our souls can soar beyond the cave in the light of God's goodness and truth. David expresses victory because he says, my heart is steadfast. His heart is steadfast because he is putting his faith in God's mercy, kindness, love, truth. I decided I wanted to add stronger pillars in my house, my refuge, and I wrote steadfast love above it. Maybe I'll add a cloud to represent the storm that is passing. As I continue to think about all these word images, I went back to some of the first verses that said, God will send from heaven his salvation. And as a Christian today, I thought, God has sent his love from heaven, Jesus. So then I began to think about all these images, and I went back to Luke chapter 1. In Luke chapter 1, verse 79, there is also an image of dawn. Dawn is the new day. The night is gone, the light has come. This is a prophecy about Jesus coming to earth. And notice he is called the sunrise on high, to give his people the knowledge of salvation by the forgiveness of their sins, because of the tender mercy of our God, with which the sunrise from on high will visit us, to shine on those who sit in darkness and the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the way of peace. I got excited about all the similar images. David was sitting in darkness. He was in fear of death, and he knew that God would send him help to guide him in the way of peace. In the same way, I have sat in the darkness, and God has come into my heart like a sunrise from on high to give me light and knowledge of his salvation. So whenever you are sitting in a cave or a place of darkness, you also can take refuge in the knowledge that God loves you so much. He wants to protect you. He has sent his Son to love you and die for you and guide you. I don't think I'm even finished with this psalm yet, but I feel so soul satisfied. I ended my time with this psalm by turning it into my own personal prayer and requests. My prescription for joy today for you: read this psalm more. Think about it. Make it personal. Use these great pictures to try to relate your soul to the situation of David. And then take time to make this psalm your own prayer to God. Please comment below what you think of this study. Hit like and subscribe. I'm going to try to help you to grasp the Psalms more deeply.